Okay, so recording has started. So the very first thing first is I would start my VMware. That's my lab environment. Then, yeah, as usual, I'll go to the terminal. So virtually almost everything we'll be doing with our Hive will be on the terminal. So I'll go to the terminal. Yes, then when I go to the terminal, so I would have to start Hadoop. Yeah, because I'll be making use of the HDFS. So normally, if you are using, I don't know, so far, have you guys tried using MySQL from terminal? Have you guys tried that? Has anyone written his SQL scripts or codes on terminal before? On command line, let me just put it that way, if you are using Windows.
Yes, I have done a bit of just a very little bit of just experience in SQL terminal.
Okay.
Command line, sorry.
Oh, okay. Any other person? Is there anyone that has tried it out? Wow. Okay, that's strange. Anyhow, so okay, let me just tell you guys this little story. Okay, Avery, have you tried it out?
I said, do you mean trying out maybe in the past you've done SQL on terminal?
Yes, like SQL on your command line. So instead of you opening your, let's say my SQL workbench, you go into your SQL environment directly on your command line and you start writing your normal SQL scripts or queries.
Okay, I haven't done that before. I haven't tried that.
Okay. So now I'll tell you guys, it is okay. The the earlier you start using the earlier you start using your command line or terminal to do everything, the easier and yeah, the more flexible it is for you to save yourself from stress and headaches. So now I can remember I was working on something this year, on a project this year. It's more or less like I needed to clone an on-premises data warehouse. I needed to clone it to the cloud. Yeah, to be specific, AWS cloud, MySQL cloud. So it's like I was moving an on-premises RDBMS system to the AWS cloud. And one of the things I learned when performing that task or handling that project was I initially I was using my normal my SQL workbench for that. Okay, so what I noticed is when I tried, okay, this is how it is. So my SQL Workbench is great that so many things you want to do, like loading a table, loading a file, creating a table, your DBA operations, that's your database administrator operations and the rest. It's quite easy. They have their UI, their GUI, graphics user interface permits you to do those things seamlessly. But there was a but there. I noticed that most of the operations were quite slow, terribly slow. So for you guys, you might not actually notice that it is slow because you might just be working with small data, like just minimal records, small records. So you can imagine whereby you have to start loading data with millions of records and the rest like that. You wouldn't want to do it directly. You don't want to create a table or load the data directly from your MySQL workbench because you spend more than the whole day. So my own experience now, I that day I went into my workbench, then I tried loading this CSV file. The CSV file was not even quite big or large like that. It was just about some hundreds of thousands of records. Then I tried loading it into one of the schemas on the cloud database, and it was taking so much time. Like I started listening around 10 and I left it and came back around 6 o'clock in the evening. It hasn't even gotten to half or hasn't even loaded fully. It was just running, running, running. By the time I'll check it, by the time I stopped it and I checked the table, the total number of records in the table, let me say I was only able to load about 1,000 records in the space of 6 hours. It was terrible. And it was so bad that I started asking my colleagues, how would you do this thing? So now, I went online trying to troubleshoot it. Then that was why I learned that you could do it using the terminal and command line. And trust me, man, what took me about 6 hours to do and I couldn't still get it done. When I used the command line to load that file, I did everything within 10 seconds. Like every every single entry was loaded in 10 seconds. From moving the file directly, copying it to my putty instance, to even uploading it and loading it into the MySQL cloud database, everything was done in 10 seconds. Like I was amazed. Like that was speed, like for the very first time. Since then, I've gotten used to it. I've gotten used to almost, not like I don't enjoy using client softwares, but it's much more interesting when there are some queries you want to run. In fact, if you even add parallel, yeah, like now for Oracle now, if you add your parallel naming and the rest to the queries, it will try to run your script in parallel. That's distributed computing, then making it fast. But yet, some of those things will still be slow. So as time goes on, yeah, you learn you can run your SQL script in terminal. You can even use git bash to run some extremely long procedures that will take so much time and computing power to do. So git batch is the desktop version of your git interface, of your version interface. Yeah. No one was, yeah. I'm not going to say more than that.
Sorry, excuse me,
Okay.
sir.
Yeah, I can hear you.
So just to ask you, why do you say the operations will run faster on command line? Is it that it's
Yes,
not loading graphic things behind it or something?
I just discovered, I don't know too. Like, I can't really give you a specific reason why it runs faster on command line, but that's what happened. And that's how, like, that has been the usual case and scenario. Whereby, if you go online loading large files, they'll tell you to use your command line to do it. It's one of the fastest ways you can ever get to run time consuming scripts or queries.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Okay. So to start Hadoop, first thing first, I need to set my Hadoop environment variable. Yeah, so if you are wondering how you can get into your, how you can log into SQL on your command line, it's very simple. You just need to type MySQL. You type your login username. Yes, you type your login username and your password. It will most likely request for your password if you have one. Oh, what am I doing? Then after typing that, yeah, you can also extend the database you want to work with also. Just check online. It's quite interesting using it. Okay. So I'm starting Hadoop right now. Okay. It's not yet right, it's still loading. Okay, so I guess it should be done now. So check the resources running. I'll type GPS. Yeah, so everything is running from name node to node manager. Everything is fine. Okay, so there's a code to get into our IFQL environment since Hadoop is already running. To do that, you need to you need to change your directory. Yeah. Okay. I_home /bin. Okay, so I'm already in my Hive directory. And to launch yet to start IFGL, the next thing I need to do is I need to run the code /i. Yeah. So that should start my IFGL. Okay, so as you can see, it's the same thing when you log into, when you start your SQL environment in the terminal. You'll see SQL by your left hand side, indicating you're inside your SQL environment. Yeah, for some Python environments, you'll see Python, and for others, you might not see. So it depends. Okay. Okay, nothing like. Okay. Okay. So the very first thing is.
So I think you're a bit too fast.
Okay. So why are you practicing along with me?
Yes, I was practicing along with you.
Okay. So I've stopped my Hive environment. Where are you guys right now?
The .hive.
I got lost while you were changing your directory.
You said?
I said I got lost while you were changing your directory.
Okay. So I'll take it back to the home directory. Yeah. So to move to the Hive directory, all you just need to do is the usual syntax: change directory, space, your $, then your Hive home,
Can anyone hear him, please? It's probably my network.
No, I can't.
I can't hear him also.
Oh.
Hello, sir. Can you hear us?
Can you hear me?
Okay. But he's not talking, right?
Yeah, not talking. His screen is not moving also. So I guess
Okay.
probably his network is out.
I stepped up a little.
Yeah.
Hello, is someone here, please? I just joined now, please. Am I in?
You are out.
Yes, you are in.
Yes, I use Sunday.
Richard, I will scatter this place for you now. I will scatter this place.
That's the name I saw on the screen. I saw Sunday. I didn't see Solomon.
Thank you, Jerry.
So you can iterate and rearrange it. Eh? You can't do data manipulation of the Sunday.
I can't see the data
When
now.
Abisala asked you what your name was, why did
I'm
you say
working
so?
with Sunday and Ogunleye.
If someone will not call Emmanuel to call him like this. Course rep. Uncle Bet.
I don't think UBET is available. Aditya, don't you think you're going to assist?
Okay.
Can you guys hear me now?
Yes, I can.
Yes. There you go.
Okay. I don't know. Network has been messy. Can you see my screen too?
Yes.
Yes, yes.
Okay. Yeah, so I said to start Hive, what you just need to do is the command to start Hive is /hiv. Yeah, so I guess this is where some people, this is where I left some people off the that time. Okay, so it's starting. Wow. Okay, so mine is returning an error right now. Okay. Wow. So I'm going to start all over again. I'll check if Hadoop is still running. Yes, so I'll stop all Hadoop components, then restart. Yeah, also you can open the code snippet for the lab. So the code snippet should be okay. So the code snippet should be Ivan pig underscore Ivan Hadoop.txt. So Ivan pig underscore Ivan on Hadoop.txt. Okay. So I'll restart command line. So I'm going to start the terminal again. First and foremost, I'll set my Hadoop environment variable. Then I'll start Hadoop and all its components. Everything seems fine. First thing first is I'll change my directory to Hive directory. Hive underscore home / bin. Okay. I'm trying to check everything that is inside this directory. Okay. Okay, so I guess this is what we're running. Okay, so to do that, to start my hive, I would say /hive. Okay, so it's starting. Yeah, so everything is fine. To clear all of these jargons on my screen, I'll press Ctrl L. Yeah, so everything is fine now. Then, yeah, just to introduce us to the environment. So the very first instruction here in the lab manual is, okay, let's check the databases we have in our Hive environment. Okay, so checking that. Yeah, so just like a normal SQL, to check the databases you have, the code is, yeah, the command is show databases. Yeah, and your semicolon, then press enter. Okay, wow. So from what I can see here, I have two different databases. I have my default, I have another database called demo. Yeah, okay. Yeah, so it's actually the same thing with running SQL in your terminal also. It gives you the time taken to run your script or query, and it gives you summary about the outputs first. Okay. So we've shown the database. Another thing we can do is we can also create a database, create tables. So the same thing as usual, almost the same syntax as your SQL. Okay, if not the same syntax. So the next thing now is, okay, let's try to create a database. Yeah. So to create a database, let's say create database if not exist. Okay, so I don't know if it is, yeah, let's just try it out. I don't know if it is case sensitive. I'll just type everything the way it is. If not exist. Okay, what's the name of the database? And let us say, let's call it Octave. Yeah, and our semicolon, then enter. Okay. Okay, so it has thrown an exception. Okay, let's follow the way it is in the lab manual. Okay, so create database. Okay. Capital if not exists. Okay, the name of our database is Octave semicolon. Let's press enter. Okay, so the same thing. Another error. Okay. Yeah, I can hear you, Marvelous.
Okay, if not exist, not exist.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. I just said now. Create
So,
database if not exists.
so is
Octave.
Hive case sensitive?
You said?
Is it case sensitive? Because in our workbook we are seeing using some caps lock, but I don't know if it's case sensitive here.
No, it is not. As you can see, the very first script of creating a database called Octave ran, even though I didn't follow the same way it is in the textbook. Okay.
Now,
So the
please, what
next
is
thing,
you just typed and the one you typed before?
yeah, so the
Both.
difference is I didn't spell exist properly. I
Oh,
spelled
okay.
exit instead of exist. Okay, so let's check for database we just created. Show databases. Okay. Yes, so we can see it here, Octave. Yeah, so I have a question, guys. Is my SQL case sensitive?
No,
No,
sir.
it's not.
You said?
It is
No,
It
not.
is
it's not.
not.
Okay, that's great. Okay, so the next thing here is we are to specify the default database we want to use for this lab. Okay, so we're told to use the demo database. Okay.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
What response are we going to get if we're trying to create a database that's already included, that is already in the Hive database? Are we going to get an error or something?
Okay. So it's best practicalized. So I'll try to create the same database I created before. We just said okay. So meaning nothing would happen, basically. Do you get? As long as your syntax is correct, your code will be compiled by Hive. But because you are putting if not exist is okay, if the database doesn't exist, create it. That's what we're trying to say. But if it exists, you can just leave it like that. Do you get?
Yeah, I do. Thank you.
Okay. So now for this lab, we're told to use the demo database. Yep. Okay. So to select your default database or the database you want to use for your queries, you say use, then you call the name of the database. So let's say use demo, then you semicolon and press enter. Okay. Next thing now is creating a table for a CSV file. So now, one of the interesting things or basic things you do if you are joining Octave is, so let's say you have a CSV file, you have different flat files now, and you are told to load it into a database. So before you load that file into a database, the normal syntax is you need to create a replica. You need to create a table that is a replica of that flat file. So now let's say you have, what I mean by a flat file here is it can be an Excel file, it can be a CSV file, it can be a TSV file. So it depends. So before you do that, one thing you do is you need to create a table that would hold that flat file you are trying to load. Then another thing you also need to know is the structure of that flat file must match the same structure of your table. So meaning if the very first column of that in that CSV file is date, then you know date, yeah. So date is also a character type in SQL. So date will be date. So let's say you have in the next field, in the next column, you have something like first name. So first name can be varchar, yeah, your normal text like that. So for each of the fields you are creating, you need to specify their data types. Yeah. So now to do that, yeah, to do that, just like the way it is in the manual, we want to create a table that will hold a CSV file. Yeah. So on doing that, the very first thing is, so you call your create statement. Let me split my screen. Yeah, so you call your create statement, you call your table create table, just like your normal usual SQL syntax, create table. Then what's the name of this table you want to create? Okay, let's call it stock data as instructed in our lab manual. Then the very first entry, the very first entry or the very first column in that CSV file is date. Okay, so we are told to give it a field name called date1. Then what is the data type of that date? They want to store it in a string. Okay, let's leave it as a string. Then the next thing is, okay, the next field we're told to create is open. Okay, so what's the data type? It's a float. The next one is I. The data type, it is also a float. So the next one is low. What's the data type? It is also a float. On and on like that. So you have close also. It is also a float like that. Then, yeah, okay. Yeah, let me just type everything completely. Self-pasting it so you guys say something. So close is also a float. The next one is volume. Volume is an integer. The next column we have here is edg close. Okay, it is a float. Yeah, so that's all for the column names and the field names and their data types. Then row format. Row format. Then it is row format delimited. So meaning it is so if it were to be a CSV file, would have said it is a comma delimited. So for this row format delimited, so each row is separated. For this particular one, it is a CSV file. Each row is separated by a comma. Okay, so the very first row will have all of that. Then you need to put, okay, you put delimited by a comma. Yep. Yeah, delimited fields are terminated by comma. Okay, so to do that, I comma in between, then stored as a text file. Okay, so each row of that text file, each row of that text file is an entry, and the fields are separated by a comma. Okay, yeah, so let's run this. Wow, so everything is fine. Yeah, everything is fine. So now let's create another table for the sequence file. So we just created that for the CSV file, and as you can see, CSV file is delimited by a comma. So for the sequence file, we'll just create it like that, and we'll say we are storing it as a sequence file. So you follow the same syntax, create table.
Sir.
So what's, okay?
Sorry, please. Can you explain that command after creating that table? What it's for?
Which command after creating the table?
Like the real format delimited by.
Okay. So basically, after the bracket is closed, it is saying that it is in a row format and each field is separated. What do I mean by each field? Each column is separated by a comma. Do you get?
Yeah.
That's what it's saying. Yeah, each column is separated by a comma. Then each row of that text file is an entry. That's what it is just saying. That's what the command is saying there. So do you get, you're loading a text file and you're saying each row in that text file is an entry. So you're loading that text file and trying to save it as a CSV file. So that CSV file you're trying to save it as, you're saying each column in that text file, or yeah, each column in that text file or the table you are creating is separated by a comma. That's what it means by terminated. Each delimited field is terminated by a comma. So if it were to be a tab now, instead of you seeing a comma there, you will see 4 spaces there. That's when it is a TSV file. Okay, so I'll create the second table, create table, stop data, on and on. Yeah. So the very first column is date 2. No, the very first column is date 1. Yeah, date 1. This is a string. And the second column, so I'll type my column names and their data type. Okay, so I'll run that. Yeah, everything is fine. It has created those 2 tables. Yeah, so since we've created those 2 tables, one thing we can do is we can also, so that's it for the very first lab. We have, so we are 80% done with the very first lab for this
Sir.
lab section.
So please, what's the difference between a text and a sequence file?
The difference between,
We created the first table as a text file, while we created the second one as a sequence file. I don't know. I would love to get some expansion on that.
so we created the first one as a CSV,
Okay.
as a text file.
Yeah.
And the second one as a text file, or what are you saying?
A sequence. I was saying stored as a sequence file.
Okay, so for sequence files, I'll just answer the very first question you asked. So for sequence files, records are stored in a binary format that is smaller than a text-based format would be like. So like text files, the formats are not, the characters are not encoded. Do you get? Your normal text file contains normal characters, but for a sequence files, some informations are likely to be encoded, to be stored in a binary format. That's the difference between a sequence file and a text file. So now the very first one we did, the very first script we wrote was picking up a text file, then trying to create a table for it and loading it as a CSV. Do you get? Then the second one is, so the purpose of this lab is we are taking a text file, loading it into a table as a CSV file. Then we'll copy that CSV, that CSV table, we'll copy the information on it and save it as, we'll copy it to another table and save it as a sequence file. I don't know if you get me.
So can you repeat that, please?
Hello?
Can you repeat the last point, please? I didn't get it.
Okay. So I said the purpose of this lab. Can you guys hear me? So the purpose of this lab is we're importing data given in a text file, then saving it in a table first as a CSV table. Do you get? So each of the way IFQ works is each of your table, they are not just tables. Do you get? They are, I would want to refer to them as object tables, because it's like saying I'm creating a table, but that table is a CSV table. Then the second table I created, is a sequence table. So you can more or less call it a sequence file. So now the purpose of this lab is our data, our input data is most likely coming in a text file. Then we are loading it into a CSV table. So we are now going to copy information from that CSV table and save it inside the second table, which is a sequence file table. And he asked me what's the difference between a text file and a sequence file. So a text file contains your normal characters and so on, but your sequence file, it contains those characters, but some informations are likely to be encoded in binary formats. Just like now, if you have your normal CSV file, you have your normal Excel file. Normally, if you open the two of them using your Microsoft Excel, once you are done editing either of these two files, if you notice for your CSV file, it tells you that whenever you try to save, it tells you that you are likely to lose some information when you save it as a CSV file. Why? Because some encoding has been done to save it as a CSV file. I don't know if you get me. But for your Excel file, whenever you save your Excel file, your Microsoft Excel doesn't return any error or warning tab that you are losing any information. It stays like that. That's why if you notice, most times Excel files are likely to be larger than your CSV files. Why? Because for CSV files, most of the information are being encoded and compressed, so they are likely to even be smaller than your normal Excel files. So for your sequence file too, it is the same thing.
All right, sir. So, do you recommend that anytime we're creating a table on Hive, we have to create the same table? We have to create the table as a text file and the same table as a sequence file.
No, it depends on the tasks you want to carry out. Basically, you can just create the table like that. You can create it as a normal table, as a CSV object table, or a sequence table. So it is up to you. There is no recommendation. It depends on the task you want to carry out.
All right, thank you.
Okay, so the next thing I wanted to let us know is, so yeah, in your Hive there is a, yeah, so in your Hive there is this function, or there is this operation called your describe. You can describe your table. So now let's try to describe the very first table we created. So now I would. So the very first table I created was stock data, right? So let's see, describe stock data. So it gives me basically what your describe function does is it gives you a summary about the table and the table and its structure. It gives you a summary about the table structure, the fields you have, and the data type for those fields. So like now, you can see the very first field we have is the date column and it is a string. So something similar to this is what you have in your Python also. The describe function, it gives you details about, and your describe function in Python gives you details, gives you a summary details about every numerical column, on that, every numerical column on that table or on that file. I don't know, is Marvelous trying to say something? Okay. So yeah, I wanted to ask what was similar to your describe function in R? What gives you details about a table or a data set? I know there is a function that gives you a brief summary of the data sets you have, probably. Because if you have it in Python, you should have it in R too. Anyone wants to help us with that? Okay, let me just ask, is there any function like summary in Python?
Yes.
What does it do?
Some it like gives you probably data. Is this I think summary is for R. I describe is for Python. It gives you
No,
some.
sorry. Okay, thank you very much, Daniel. Yeah, so I was expecting someone to tell me the answer is summary. Okay. Marvelous is trying to say something. We are struggling to hear you, Marvelous. Can you try speaking again? Can anyone hear him? Maybe you speak up for him.
His voice is very low, just like you said.
Maybe you should just type what you want to say.
Yeah, exactly. Just type. Thank you. Okay, now, so like I was telling, yeah, was it Henry or Hubert? I don't know who was asking the question. So like I was saying, we are going to load data from a CSV file called sample.txt. So meaning probably this CSV file is separated. If you open the CSV file, you will notice that it is separated with a comma. Most of the entries for different fields are separated with a comma, yet you can still open it with your normal text file. So you can open CSV files with your text editor. So now to do that, we're told to run this code. Okay, load data, local import. Yeah, it's the same thing. Okay, load data. Yeah. So let me clear all this first. Yeah. Load data, local impact. So this local impact is you are trying to specify the part of this data you are trying to load. So for SQL, what would it be? Can anybody help us with that?
Okay, let me try. I can't remember the. I think it's load load file load in file. Then you state the path.
Load what?
Is it load? I think load in file.
Yeah, so for SQL, it is load data in file, then you specify the path on your system. Thank you. So sample1.txt. Yep. So what are we loading it into? We are loading it into the table stock data. Into table stock data. Okay. Yep. So it is returning an error. Oh, someone is trying to join. So it is returning an error. So it's saying there's no path called home/hd user/datasets like that. Okay. So what I'll do is I'll go to my normal directory. Then let's see if there is. Let's just see if there is a path like that. Okay, so it is not dataset, it is datasets. Okay, let's check what's inside datasets. Okay, so in our dataset, we don't even have Hive inside our datasets. We have sample.txt. Okay, sample.txt. Oh, we have sample1.txt. Yeah, seen it. So this is sample1.txt here. So that means we're going to edit that code and rerun it. Okay, so as usual, we'll go back to our Hive environment. The $, Hive_home, then /bin. Okay, so we go into Hive. To go into Hive, it will be ./Hive. Okay. Okay, so already in our Hive environment. So I'll try to run the previous code and correct it. So there's no directory called dataset/Hive. So it is dataset/sample1.txt. Okay, let's run this now. Oh, there is no table found. Okay, no table called stock data. Okay, let's just check. Okay, first thing for show databases. Okay, so let's see, use demo. Okay, so let's check if we have the table. Let me see, describe stock data. Okay, yeah, so it should work now. Okay, so I'll say control again, then run my previous code. This should work now. Yeah, so it is loading the data into the table. Yeah, so it is done loading the data. As you can see, it has given you the operation, the summary of the whole loading data operation. Okay, so the next thing we have to do now is, yeah, okay, so the next thing we have to do now is we are going to copy the data from our very first table into the second table. So it's like we are overwriting whatever is inside the stock data to sequence table with what we have in our stock data table. So to do that, all you just need to do is you need to run the code. Okay, insert. Okay, insert, then overwrite whatever you have in that table. Overwrite table stock data to. So what are you inserting inside that table? That will be select star from stock data. Okay. Yeah.
Instead of typing, don't you want to copy from the code snippet?
You said?
I said instead of typing, don't you want to copy from the code snippet so it can be faster?
I was saying that for people that were following through me. Yeah, so if you notice now, Henry, if you notice, as you can see, it is already running a map reduce tags already on that data set because it's in a CSV file. So definitely, like I told you, taking it to a sequence file, it would have to encode some information. So basically, normally, were to do this, we would have created some Java classes, exported it as a Java file, then start running adobe.jar, converting a CSV file to a sequence file. So we would have done that using a map reduce tags. But instead of typing all those long Java lines of code, all you just need to do is write a single ifql statement and it does the map reduce tags for you. So that's one of the advantage of using your ifql. So there are some things that you would want to do normally on with your map reduce, but with ifql, it's just a few lines or a single line to do it. So that's that.
So I'm a bit lost. After reading the data, what was the next step? I missed at some point.
Yeah, so after loading, you've loaded the first one, right?
Yes, I know that.
So now the second one is you load the data you have in your stock data one CSV table. You load it into your sequence table, into a sequence file. And there's a code to do that.
Okay.
So that would be insert overwrite table. Check the code snippet. I'm just following everything you have in the code snippet.
All right, thanks.
Okay. So that's that for the very first lab.
Sorry, sir. I
Now,
didn't get that part said. You said you were trying to overwrite the data one in data two. Is that what you said?
So what I was explaining what insert overwrite means is just like create table if not exist. So if there's nothing inside, it should insert it. If there's something inside that table, we should overwrite it. Okay.
Is it that we are taking the data from the stock data we just loaded from the data set?
Yes. Yeah,
We're,
exactly.
we're taking all the data from the stock data one and inserting it into the stock data two.
Yeah, exactly. But the data in your stock data one is saved as a CSV file, a CSV object.
Okay.
So to convert it to a sequence file, it runs a map reduce job on it.
Okay. Was it possible for us to load the table from the HD user data set into the sequence file or sequence format?
Yeah, it should be possible. You can try that out. It should be possible.
Okay, that
It should
means
be possible.
we write the command then into table stock data too, and it's going to
Exactly. Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Okay. So I guess that would be all. I wouldn't be touching the lab 2 right now because I know it has so many operations. I don't know if they've explained I don't know if probably maybe Emmanuel or someone else has explained to you guys the operations, the join operations, the merge operations, left outer join, right outer join, full outer join, the union and all. I don't know if it has been explained to
Yes,
you
we
guys.
talked about joints. We talked about joints, the right, the left, and what they are used for. Like left, to take the common from the or the left, then take the common from the right, join it to the left and the right, and full join, inner join also. We talked about union also actually.
Okay. Okay, because that's basically the bulk of what we're meant to do in the next lab, but I wouldn't be touching it now. Yes, I'll just give you guys some time
Please
to
touch
just.
it, sir.
You said?
I said, please touch it, sir.
Okay. No, well, then I'll just go on with it then. Yeah. So now, so basically for this second lab, we'll be trying to, like I already explained to us, we'll be trying to retrieve. Wow, my screen is going blank. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So we are done with loading data into Hive. So right now, what we'll be doing is we'll be writing normal Hive queries using the Hive query language. That's what the second lab entails. So it's just like writing your normal SQL queries, using SQL. So basically, this will be querying this data that we just loaded into the stock data file table and the stock data too. So that's just what we'll be doing for the second lab. Yeah, that's what we'll be doing for the second lab. Querying and playing with the data that we have loaded into these different tables. Okay, so your Hive environment is already launched. Someone is now having mercy on his keyboard over there. So the very first thing we're told to do is we're told to retrieve data from the table, from the table stock data. So what it means, retrieving data is, let's say we are trying to write a select statement. Okay, select all first names where the gender is equals to male, or where the age is equals to 15. So basically that's what we're trying to do here. Just writing our normal SQL queries and playing with the data. So now let's say select all from stock data, where date 1 is equals to, okay, where date 1 is equals to, wow, I don't even know, where date 1 is equals to 12th of December 2013. Okay, so let's run that. Okay, so that is done. Okay, so here is it. This is the record. So this is the record where the date is equals to 12th of December 2013. So you can see, the date is equals to 12th of December 2013. So you can see that the open, for the open field, you have 1079.57. For the close field, for the high field, the low field, like that. So this is the record here. So the next thing we're trying to do now is, so that's that for retrieving. That's one way of retrieving data. So like a normal SQL queries. Then the second one is, okay, select all from stock data where the volume is less than, okay, what's this here, where the volume is less than 1.5 million. Where the volume is less than 1.5 million. Okay, we want to just see the first three. That's true. Instead of me asking, yeah, that's true. Instead of me explaining what each code means, you guys haven't taught SQL. So I can just tell someone to explain what it means to me. Okay. That way it would even save me time. Okay, so can someone explain what that code means? Select all from stock data where volume is less than 15,500, limit 3.
So sorry,
Or someone
excuse me,
should
sir.
just, yeah?
So the statement means that you should select all the columns from the stock data table where the columns that have their volumes less than that particular value is specified. And then
Okay.
the limit term there is specifying that you should limit it to 3 rows being selected.
Okay. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, let me just teach you guys one more trick. Probably some of you might not know. So I have a question now. If I say select 5 from stock data, what would it return? I'm asking in terms of normal SQL. So if I say, okay, select 5 from stock data, where volume is, where date is equals to 2013, or let's not use where, select 5 from a certain table, what would they return?
You said select price, yes?
Yes, select
So
5
it will show
from,
all of price from the stock data, all of price column.
you said?
It will return all of price column from the old table.
All of 5's column, are you sure? I'm asking in terms of normal SQL. I'm not saying select star. I'm saying select 1 or select 100. I'm saying select a number from a table. What would it return?
Select price, which is a column
Not
header.
price, not price. Select a number. Let's say select 1, select 2.
Oh, I thought you said price. That's why I asked, is it price?
No, not price.
Okay,
Select
I think
any number. Select 10, select 20 from
can
a
you hear me?
table. Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, I think it will select because normally when you use order by statements, whatever you I think it will actually arrange the columns as in order of 1 to 3 as they appear. So if you say select 1, select the first column. If you say select 2, select the second column. But I've never done it before, so I'm not sure.
Okay. Any other person wants to answer or tell me something? Okay.
Select 5 is maybe select 5 columns, 1 to 5.
No, select a number. Let's say select 10. Select
Select
10 from a table, from stock data. What would it return? What's the output?
maybe the 10th column of the table.
You said?
I said maybe the 10th column of the table.
Okay. Any other person wants to give it a try? Wants to try it out?
I'm
I think it's
thinking
given.
the first n columns of things where
You
n is the
said?
number. It's probably select the first n columns of the table where n is the number of columns, or where n is the number is specified.
Okay. Another person wants to try. Nobody has gotten it so far. Okay. So now let me help you guys. I also learned it too from. Okay, someone wants to answer. Henry, you want to say something?
No, I did not do. I'm not attempting it. I wanted to say to give you an error, but let me just keep mute.
Okay, you guys can try it in your MySQL class the next time.
Nice.
Someone
Actually,
has
just
tried it out and he wants to tell us the answer. Okay, tell us the
yes.
answer.
Okay. It will select it will show that number for the number of rows that you have on that in the table. So if you have like 20 rows of data in the table and it says select 5 from the table, to show you 5 20 times.
Okay, thank you very much. So that's the answer. It will return that number for the number of entries you have on that table. Well, I asked you guys because Blessing also asked us to one day when we felt we knew SQL so much. And he fell around, told us it was his interview question at MTN one time for a data analytics manager position. So that means that's how nobody would have gotten it yet too. Yeah, so it will return that number for the number of columns, the number of entries you have in that table. You can try it out in your MySQL environment. Yeah, I'm sure a lot of us won't forget that. So
Yeah,
if
I
you get
just
to meet
tried.
people,
Sorry, Danny? What did you say you got? Because what I'm seeing here, you just created a table with the number, and it's repeating the same number down
yes,
to.
so it wouldn't create a table. It is going to output that number for
Okay.
every entry you have on that table. You have in that table. So let's say the total number of rows or number of entries in that table is 300. So it will return 5 to you 300 times. Do you get it now, Henry?
No,
Sorry,
yes.
in column of in one column or in the rows.
Do you get? Yeah,
No,
it
I
will
don't.
return.
Okay, go ahead.
Daniel, can you share your screen? Is it possible? Hello, Daniel.
Sir?
Can you share your screen
Okay, sir.
so you
I'll do
explain
that.
it to them? Yeah.
Okay.
Let me stop sharing mine.
Everyone see my screen. Everyone see my screen. I've actually not opened my SQL. I was just
Yes, it's visible.
okay. Pardon me, my open SQL. I just closed my SQL. I didn't open my SQL at all. I'm just trying to open it now.
Okay.
Okay, so okay. Yes, you have it open now. Sorry, what are you saying?
No, I'm not saying anything.
Okay. So let me choose a file here that doesn't have much. Let me see. Okay. Let me use one of our tables that we've been using before. Okay. Okay, I'm trying to look for one that has not so much data, so it's very easy. Okay, I think this data is actually fine. Okay, so if you said select one, or let's say two from regions, let me show you how regions data looks like. What it has there is just that's just 4 rows with data, something like this. So now with four rows with data. So if you wanted, if you said select this, I think this statement selects 3 from regions. When you do this, it's to show you back all the rows you have. 1, 2, 3, 4. Show you that okay, I have 4 rows. It's just basically showing you the number that you selected that you want to output. But it's not showing that number for the number of rows, number of values, number
Yeah.
of rows entry you have in that data, in that table. So in my regions data, I have 4 rows with different stuffs. But then I said select 3 from regions. Just show me regions, the same regions table, but writing 3 for all the rows that I have there.
Okay. So please change the number so someone else can grab what I'm saying.
So I've changed it to 10 already. This is saying that same thing for the number of rows.
Okay.
It's
So
showing the
that's
same
that.
thing.
Please,
Yeah, thank you very much.
please, can you create a scenario around this where this can be useful?
So
Doesn't
basically,
mean
this
Yeah,
can be useful in
I
terms
feel
of data manipulation. Yeah, data manipulation, whereby you're trying to do data analysis now and you want to output a column. Yeah. So I cannot give a perfect scenario right now, but it is definitely useful for you to know something like this. Or it would have taken years of you coding in SQL to know that something like that would work. Okay. Okay, so I'm sorry for stressing you, Daniel. Can you open your command line? Let's try to run my SQL from your command line. Not Windows PowerShell. Run it as admin. So the DB instance you guys are connecting to, it's on your system, Abi? Or there's no DB on this system? Is there any MySQL DB on this system?
Yeah, there is.
Okay, so type MySQL -u, then put your username. Is there any password you're using with it? Not capital U, just U. Then you type your username. The username you're using with your MySQL workbench. Okay, is there any password? If there's not, just press enter. If there's a password, it would most likely ask you for the password. Okay, so I guess you don't have any DB instance on this system. Or do you? So you know what, Daniel, so try out MySQL -h, then put localhost, then you put -u and put your username. Or would you give me control of your system? Let me do it. Do you know how to give control? You will just have to open Microsoft Teams, then go to, wait, just wait, let me request control. Oh, you stopped sharing your screen. Okay. I don't know, I'm trying to type and it's not working. Is it making any change to your system? Wow. So just do it yourself. Don't worry, just do it yourself. And MySQL -h then space localhost. Yes. Then space. No, don't put the port. Yeah. -u space root. Okay. So you don't have any DB installed. Yeah, this would be another long run task entirely. But so let me ask, the one you guys use, you loaded data into it directly, Abby? Not like you have a DB on your system. Someone is saying something. Marvelous, we can't hear you. Yeah, you can stop sharing your screen, Daniel. So we just finish up with the class. You need to look up on it yourself. Marvelous, can you type? Okay, thank you. So while Marvelous is typing now, the thing what Daniel just demonstrated for us, I haven't tried it before on IFKO, but I don't know, something's telling me that let's give it a try. Let's try it out. So let's see, select 10 from stock data. As you can see, it returned 14 rows with 10. It's returned 41 rows with 10. Okay, so Marvelous is saying there's an alternative to accessing my SQL on command line. Yeah, go on. Oh, it's referring to the command line client. Yeah, that's true. Okay, so from what Marvelous just said, I'll just employ you guys. Most of the MySQL classes or tasks you'll be doing, try to be doing it from the command line. Try to set up your MySQL on the command line. Yeah. So basically, if you have a password set up, it's just ask you for your password. Then Daniel, probably when you have your system up and running later after this class, you try running mysql.exe, or you try to set the environment variable for your MySQL. Yeah, if that's why it isn't running on your command line. Yeah, so that's just all. So now guys, I don't know if you can see my screen. So I just ran select 10 from stock data, and as you can see, it returned that number for every entry on in that column, in that table. Yeah, so let's try it out again. Select 7 from stock data, so it should return 7 all through. Yeah, it's returning 7 all through. So now the next operation or the next query they want us to look at in the manual is joining of tables. So we're told, this next set of actions would use the UK and the US postal data given in relevant folders of your lab environment. Okay, so we are going to join the tables using HQL queries. Please give me a minute. Okay. So the next subheading in the manual is joining of tables. So I'm not going to talk about left join, right join, and the rest like that. I will just assume you guys already know it. Yeah. So what are we told to do? We're told to create a table called post data. Okay. So to do that, I'll just copy the code here. Yeah. So it is also a CSV table or a CSV file. So I'm going to paste it, then run it. So that's that. It is done. Then the next operation here is, so we've created the very first table for UK. So create a second post data table for the US. Okay. So the same syntax. Okay. I'm going to paste it here. Okay. So that's done also. Then the next thing is we are going to load data into these tables. Okay, so UK underscore data.txt. Okay, so as usual, okay, so it's downloading the data. So I'll do that for the second one also. Wow, there's still so many things to do here. Okay, I'm doing that for the second one. I'm sure some people would have finished this lab. Okay, so it is downloading the data. Then the next operation is, so we are going to perform a join on the US data and the UK data. So we are joining on first name. Yeah. So we are joining on first name for the data. Okay. So let's say, okay, it's saying select US as first name from. Okay. 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 So we are joining on first name. So someone should explain what left outer join means with a Venn diagram. Just give me a brief, like how would it look like? Anyone wants to help out? Left outer join with a Venn diagram. I can imagine it on my head. Don't worry about making use of the whiteboard to draw it or anything.
Hello, sir.
Yeah, I can hear you.
So you asked that we should illustrate after join with Venn diagram, right?
Yes, like don't draw it. Just I can picture it on my. Just explain it.
Okay, so assuming I have a Venn diagram with set A and B, where A and B are
Yeah.
the two tables.
Yep.
So they have an intersection, and then set A is at the left-hand side and set B is at the right-hand side. So
Okay.
the left outer join means selecting all the elements of set A, which includes those who are not in B and those who are also in B. So the ones that are not that are in A alone, and then the ones that are in A and B together. That's left outer join.
Okay, so you're saying you're selecting data that all the data that belongs to A and also part of and also belongs to B. So you're saying whatever you can find in B that is also in A, you select it. Then you select everything that belongs to A, right?
Yes, exactly.
Okay, so I can always keep that operation trying to write the code. Everything is in the code snippet. So can someone explain right outer join? Probably a lady.
Right outer join is just the opposite of the left outer join. So it's saying what is strictly in B and what is in A and B.
Oh, okay, that's great. So then what's your full outer join? Someone else help us with full outer join.
The turning of both the
Okay.
table A and table B up together.
Okay, so if I heard you correctly, you said everything that is in table A and table B together. Then what's your full inner join?
The intersection between A and B.
Okay, yeah, thank you. Okay, so I'm trying to check what's very important I need to talk about with you guys in the lab. So I wouldn't just, your time has gone. Okay, yeah, so you guys know virtually everything here except for partition. So now guys, let me just talk about partition in HDF in HiveQL. Yeah, so basically HiveQL has a function known as your partition function. So what this does is that it's like you're creating two replicas of something. Yeah, let me just, you are creating more replicas or you are separating on something, you are trying to version, you are versioning something. So now let's say yeah, exactly, let me give you a perfect example now. So you have Octave Analytics now. Then I want to create a table called Octave Analytics. So I created the normal table called Octave Analytics, but I'm partitioning based on location. So that means if I'm partitioning that table based on location, it means I will most likely have two tables. I will have Octave Analytics underscore mainland, Octave Analytics underscore island. Then you can load data into the two different tables. So that's basically what the partition, that's what the partition function does in your IFQL. So you can partition on strings, you can partition on integers too. So it's just like adding an identifier to your table name. Yep. So that's that. That's that. That's all for today's class. Well, thank you to the person that said we should actually cover it, because it wasn't even a big deal at all. You guys know most of the stuff already there. Yeah. So hopefully we'll see on Friday. And on Friday, I know that one is a very funny lab on its own, but I would really appreciate if you guys can attempt it before coming on Friday. Yeah. That's writing user-defined functions, user-defined I functions. Okay. Wow. We are going back to Java. Funny enough. Yeah. So I guess that should be, we're going back to Java just a little bit. Yeah, we're going back to using Eclipse. Now guys, we'll see you on Friday. Try to practice ahead, and thank you to everyone that came. Thank you. Thank you for coming to today's class. Thank you to everyone that contributed. And so little takeaway for you guys. Try to run MySQL in command line, and also try to run MySQL in command line. That's the major takeaway. Then I'm sure a lot of people learned with the funny select statement we did. At least if you would forget anything, you wouldn't forget that one. Yeah, thanks so much. Bye bye.
All right, thank you for your time, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Bye, sir.
Have a wonderful day, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Even what are you always eating?
Thank you, sir. I tell you.
Thank you, sir.
Maybe some of them, the ending is no, it's very very